Okay. Good evening. And good evening to everyone listening on the internet as well. Okay. We'll start right in.
Fantasy is a distorted form of vision.
Yes.
Fantasies of any kind are distortions because they always involve twisting perception into unreality.
Yes, I'm going to interrupt you now. Fantasy is a distorted form of vision. In other words, it's a distorted form of something real. It isn't a separate, independent phenomenon. This is important to understand. It's as I've said before, you can't have a counterfeit of nothing. Fantasy is a distorted form of vision, and vision is real. Fantasies of any kind are distortions because they always involve twisting perception into unreality. In other words, they always involve twisting the experience of something real in a manner that causes it to be perceived as different from what it really is. Therefore, you cannot look at anything and say, this doesn't exist. All you can say is, the way I'm perceiving it is not valid. And when this is clear, you will understand why I keep saying to give your attention to where you are, give your attention to anything you see with curiosity to see more than the bias you have applied to reality, causing you to see what you think you see instead of what is really there. The moment you say, this is an illusion, this does not exist, it is logical to assume that to give any further attention to it is a waste of time. And as a result, you withdraw your attention from the very place that vision would reveal to you the kingdom of heaven. This is so important to understand, so that you don't become ungrounded in your metaphysics, so that you don't become ungrounded in your spirituality, so that you don't become ungrounded in your miracle readiness. Because if you're denying the place where the miracle is going to occur for you, you can't hardly say you're miracle ready. So it's your brother, it's your sister, it's your husband, your wife, your child, your friend. As I keep saying, the glass top on the table, the leaf, the blossom. Each is the threshold of your abandonment of the bias you have given to the way you're looking at them, and the opportunity to have vision restored so that you can see what's really there. Continue.
Actions that stem from distortions are literally the reactions of those who know not what they do.
Yes. When you have a misunderstanding and act on the basis of it, your actions bear no relation to reality. Continue.
Fantasy is an attempt to control reality according to false needs.
Yes, but where did the false needs come from? The false needs came after the initiation of the fantasy. Because until you formulated this fantasy, you were in complete connection with and unity with all of reality. It wasn't until the fantasy, the bias was applied, and you stopped seeing reality and experiencing your oneness with it, that a sense of isolation came into the picture, a sense of aloneness, a sense of tininess in the face of infinity. And it wasn't until then that fear entered and a call for defense to protect yourself against the humongous allness of everything that wasn't you any longer, you see. And so then you began to practice control of everything you saw to keep you safe, which constituted an even greater denial of reality. Because now, you've not only separated yourself from it, you are seeing it as your enemy and actively defending yourself against it. Continue.
Twist reality in any way and you are perceiving destructively.
Now, it's important to understand here that this isn't a judgment on you. You are perceiving destructively, shame on you. That's not what it's about. When you twist reality in any way, and you are perceiving destructively, you are perceiving in a way that doesn't work. You are perceiving in a way that doesn't allow you to be in harmony with reality. You're perceiving in a way that causes you to be defended against what, in the final analysis, is all the rest of you. And so you are in a constant state of self-denial. Destructive? It's not destructive in the sense that anything can be destroyed, because what God has created is unalterable. But it's destructive in the sense that what it accomplishes is not relieving, it contributes nothing to your being sane. Continue.
Fantasies are a means of making false associations and attempting to obtain pleasure from them. But although you can perceive false associations, you can never make them real except to yourself. You believe in what you make. If you offer miracles, you will be equally strong in your belief in them. The strength of your conviction will then sustain the belief of the miracle receiver.
Yes, but likewise, the strength of your conviction will also sustain the belief of the receiver of your twisted perception of them. So you must be careful how you think about your brother. You have a responsibility. you have a responsibility because what you think has its effect. And you cannot get away from that. So obviously you have a choice. You can offer fantasy, or you can offer miracles. Make the choice. And let that be your motto every day this next week. Make the choice for whether you're going to offer fantasy or miracles. And if you're going to offer miracles, you're going to have to abandon your best judgments, your best reasoning, your best thinking, and ask God, what's going on here? What do I need to say? Who is this that I'm looking at? So that you might experience insight and see more clearly yourself, so that you might offer that vision. And the strength of your conviction in that vision will sustain the belief of the one receiving the clarity in your mind. Continue.
Reality is lost through
Fantasies become the sentence before.
The strength of your conviction will then sustain the belief of the miracle receiver.
Continue.
Reality is lost through usurpation.
Wow. The next sentence in the second version, the second edition is, fantasies become totally unnecessary as the wholly satisfying nature of reality becomes apparent to both giver and receiver. Fantasies become totally unnecessary as the wholly satisfying nature of reality becomes apparent to both giver and receiver. Now continue.
Reality is lost through usurpation, which produces tyranny. As long as a single slave remains to walk the earth, your release is not complete.
And as I told you before, as long as a single one of you is not totally awake, our release, my release, the release of those who are awake is not complete. And that is why we stand on your behalf and stand with you and stand ready to be in support of your ever-increasing clarity. Continue.
Complete restoration of the sonship is the only goal of the miracle-minded.
Yes. It is really important for me to emphasize the fact that every one of us who is awake is devoted to your awakening. And when the idea is expressed that those who are awake have too many wonderful things to do to be occupied with you poor souls, don't let that sink in. Don't let that register with you, and reject it outright.
That's never a thought of yours, of the ones that are awake, and that they feel sorry for us?
Never.
Never, I didn't think.
Never. But there is an emptiness that we feel because you don't see us, you don't recognize our presence. And those who have never heard what I'm sharing experience no hope at having that our presence confirmed in their lives and don't even reach out. So there is an emptiness that we are intent upon filling or illuminating the fullness of. But it's not with sadness. And there is never any lesser opinion of you than we have of ourselves. Indeed. Continue.
This is a course in mind training. All learning involves attention and study at some level. Some of the later parts of the course rest too heavily on these earlier sections not to require their careful study. You will also need them for preparation. Without this, you may become much too fearful of what is to come to make constructive use of it. However, as you study these earlier sections, you will begin to see some of the implications that will be amplified later on.
That's perfectly clear. Not heavily loaded with spirituality and not requiring much comment. It simply lets you know that there is much to look forward to, and that you are embarking on something that is far from a flight of fancy, that it's significant, that you will be changing and growing, and that it's appropriate for it to be graceful rather than frightening or difficult. Okay, continue.
A solid foundation is necessary because of the confusion between fear and awe to which I have already referred, and which is often made. I have said that awe is inappropriate in connection with the sons of God, because you should not experience awe in the presence of your equals.
And I am your equal, and your guides are your equals. And as long as you hold me, or any of the brotherhood who are awake, in an awful attitude, it constitutes a means of keeping yourself separate and unequal. And you know what? You can't enjoy being with a superior. You can't relax in the presence of a superior. And even if the so-called superior is behaving in an utterly simple, loving way with you, you will attribute to it characteristics that are also awful. Feelings of not deserving it, but being grateful for it will creep into the picture, and the relationship will lose its reality. You see? You need to know that our relationship is real, that it's valid, that it is a connection heart to heart, and that the only thing that makes it special is that it uncovers to you that you deserve it. which makes it totally unspecial, but not insignificant. Continue.
However, it was also emphasized that awe is proper in the presence of your Creator. I have been careful to clarify my role in the atonement without either over or understating it. I am also trying to do the same with yours. I have stressed that awe is not an appropriate reaction to me because of our inherent equality. Some of the later steps in this course, however, involve a more direct approach to God Himself. It would be unwise to start on these steps without careful preparation, or awe will be confused with fear, and the experience will be more traumatic than beatific. Healing is of God in the end. The means are carefully explained to you. Revelation may occasionally reveal the end to you, but to reach it, the means are needed.
So now you've been given a little bit of a hint that later on a more direct approach to God is in the cards for you. It implies that that could be overwhelming, and therefore each step of the way has value in reducing your fear of your good. But nevertheless, it's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, and He's gifting you with it every single moment. And so I want you to realize that a connection with God can happen at any moment that you're undefended against it. And it doesn't have to be way down the road. And so I ask you to be willing to allow for that to happen. And don't say, oh, well, we haven't gotten to the place in the course where we're supposed to have a direct approach or a direct experience of God. God is love. And you don't need to be afraid of it. God is appearing to you right now. You might say, I'm appearing to you right now, but heaven help you if there's anything added to the mix, such as a little bit of me, because I am reflecting the Father. And Paul is reflecting the Father consciously. And so you're in communion with the Father right now. How frightening is it? Okay, so remember that when you look at your brother, whether your brother is consciously allowing the Christ expression, which is the Christ allowing God expression, realize that this is at the bottom line, or at the bottom of the barrel, what your brother truly is, so that you're not fooled by the presentation of ignorance that your brother or sister is presenting. Let us continue. Chapter 2. We're making headway. the separation, and the atonement. That's like beginning at the beginning. 1, the origins of separation. How it came to pass. Continue.
To extend is a fundamental aspect of God, which He gave to His Son.
Meaning, each of you, continue.
In the creation, God extended Himself to His creations and imbued them with the same loving will to create. You have not only been fully created, but have also been created perfect.
That's the ultimate truth. That's the fundamental fact. And there's no way to change it. Continue.
There is no emptiness in you.
And I would add that in fact there is no emptiness in the brotherhood as a fact that we need to fill, or that we feel as a limitation upon the wholeness of the brotherhood. And the fact that you are hearing me right now demonstrates the fact that any emptiness that seems to exist is not a fact set in place by God, and therefore isn't a fact at all. You have not only been fully created, but have also been created perfect. Continue.
Because of your likeness to your Creator, you are creative. No child of God can lose his ability because it is inherent in what he is, but he can use it inappropriately by projecting. The inappropriate use of extension or projection occurs when you believe that some emptiness or lack exists in you, and that you can fill it with your own ideas instead of truth. This process involves the following steps.
First, you believe that what God created can be changed by your own mind.
Ah. By providing a little twist. By squinting your eyes. Of course, you can't change what you're looking at. And if you poke your eyeball, you can make strange lights appear around everything, even though no one else sees the lights. But you can become fascinated with it. And thus provide yourself with an interesting experience, but not an experience of reality. Continue.
Second, you believe that what is perfect can be rendered imperfect or lacking. Third,
Continue.
you believe that you can distort the creations of God, including yourself. Fourth, you believe that you can create yourself and that the direction of your own creation is up to you.
Fantastic. And completely false.